In today's video, I'm going to give you a number of tips and tricks that I've learned using the Lymow for about 6 weeks now in preparation to make my review video, which I released last week. So let's get to it. All right, so the first thing to talk about is the RTK. The RTK is a fixed antenna in your yard that is a critical component to the navigation system. They do include two methods of hanging or positioning your RTK. One is with ground stakes, and the other is a bracket that you can position it. You can attach it to a wall. I do not recommend the ground stakes. I tried that with a different model over the winter. The ground gets saturated and the wind in the winter just tends to move the thing and it throws off the boundaries of your map. So you want it to be as stationary as possible with a clear view of the sky. Now, one of the things people ask me is about VSLAM, and with VSLAM, does that mean the RTK is optional? No, it does not. The GPS navigation is the primary method of navigation for this robot. VSLAM is just simply a backup. And even in the manual, if you look under the specifications, it says that it can run without the RTK for only 10 minutes and a very limited area. VSLAM is there for people that have challenges with RTK, where they may lose GPS signal under trees or near buildings and things like that. If it doesn't get its signal back within 10 minutes, it'll probably stop with an error. I don't have that problem in my yard. I have wide open space, so it's not been an issue for me at all. I've never had a problem with GPS, but I know there are those out there that do. So just keep that in mind. The RTK placement is critical. All right, the next thing to talk about is the charging dock. The charging dock charges from the bottom. There's two contacts on the bottom of the dock, and they are actually pressure switches. The dock has to be installed at least level, if not tilted back a little bit. If it's tilted up at all, the weight of the robot tends to pull it back down on the dock, and it comes off of those contacts, or it makes the pressure switch doesn't work. The other thing is that it needs to be installed in a dry location. There's actually a sensor underneath it. Because they're electrical contacts, it will not charge if it thinks it's wet underneath it. Okay, so make sure that it's dry and that it's at least level. Now, Lymow lets you set the angle in which it mows the zigzag on your zones, and you can set each one of your zones differently. 0 degrees is east-west, and 90 degrees is north-south. When you set up a zone, you should always just mow it at 0 degrees, and you'll see where the 0 degrees is. And then you can adjust it to whatever you want. So, for example, you could see by the front of my house here, I figured out that to run the mowing stripes parallel to the front of my house, I have to mow at 21 degrees. If I want them to go perpendicular to the house, I have to add 90 degrees to that, so it would be 111 degrees. There is a setting in the app called charge mode, and I want to bring it to your attention because charge mode has nothing to do with charging. Charge mode actually has to do with how it travels back to the dock. When you select normal, that means follow the perimeter. When you select quick, it means go right across your stripes. What they mean by quick is just go from point A to point B as quickly as you possibly can. It will still respect all of your channels in either case, but it will go right across the zone if you select quick, okay? I've asked them to reword this because I think it's confusing. It doesn't have anything to do with charging. And quick sounds like quick charging, but it really isn't. It's quick travel back to the dock. Don't mow wet grass. That's pretty obvious. If you've owned a lawnmower, you know not to mow wet grass, right? Well, when I was evaluating the mower, I was in the middle of a mow and it started raining. And I thought, oh, this is a good time to actually test out the rain sensor. Well, it didn't go back to the dock on its own. I've come to find that they didn't have that feature enabled at that time because I was like kind of a late stage beta tester. They have recently put out firmware that does enable the return to dock automatically if it's raining. So shouldn't be a problem anymore, but it is still an option in the app for you to mow in the rain. I don't recommend it. It makes a lot of mess underneath the deck, so you will have to clean it off. And it's not good for the grass because the blade tends to slide a little bit more instead of cutting cleanly, and that means it chews up the grass. It's not good for the blades because it tends to dull them even faster. It's just not a good practice. And I'm talking about first thing in the morning too. If you've got dew on the grass, grass every morning in the humidity, at least we do in the East Coast here, I got to tell you, you don't want to send it out first thing in the morning. Even if you've got a big property and you go, oh, I need it to mow 24 hours a day. That's unrealistic. You really can't mow 24 hours a day. So I would send it out. For me personally in New Jersey, I would wait for the sun to come up and maybe 11 a.m., maybe 12 before I would send it out. So that obviously limits how much you can mow in a day, but that's what I would do. And I also would not mow in the dark because that's when the dew tends to settle on the grass. So again, don't mow wet grass. Now, in my review video, I did a comparison on the cut quality, whether it was doing the mulching mode, which is the default, or using side discharge, and I found no difference in the cut quality. Side discharge, in my opinion, should only be really used to avoid clumping. So if you've got really tall grass, for whatever reason you haven't mowed it, and you need to knock it down, you're supposed to respect the 1/3 rule no matter what, but sometimes people mow big fields and whatnot, and they only do it occasionally. That's when side discharge could actually help you. I don't like side discharge because it blows grass out the sides, obviously, and it blows it into mulch gardens if you've got gardens in the yard. So I personally don't use it. I think it gets great cut quality just with the normal mulching, and so I don't bother. Of course, I keep my lawn very trim, so I don't worry about clumping. It's not a problem for me. But that's the only time I would recommend side discharge. Speaking of cut quality, when I did my testing, I found that the fastest blade speed is going to get you the best cut quality. Stands to reason, right? Yeah, the only problem with that is that it kills the battery much faster. So you can't get anywhere near the 1.7 acres that they claim you can do in a day. It's impossible. Also, if you choose to use the fast travel speed, it will let you mow at that speed as well. The problem is if you have fast mowing speed, your cut quality is going to suffer. So not only does that affect your cut quality, but it also kills the battery. So the moral of the story is you want to mow slow and you want to have your RPMs as low as possible to maximize the battery life. Now there's another tip there, is that don't assume new blades are sharp. You should always check them when you get them. I personally think it's best to have a number of blades, keep them separated, sharp blades versus used blades. Just swap them out very quickly when you need them, and when the time comes that you don't have any more sharp blades, then fine, go ahead and sharpen them all. Get the grinder out, sharpen all the blades, and then you're ready to go. I think that's going to be the best way to go about this. And then of course, if you have multiple sets and you damage a blade by hitting something, no big deal. You throw it away, you've got spares. Segue is, if you're going to mow slow RPMs, well, that requires sharp blades. If you don't have sharp blades while you're mowing slow, what does that do? It tears the grass. That's how disease can get in and things like that. You want sharp blades to cut as cleanly as possible. Make sure you sharpen the blades when you notice they're tearing the grass. Every time you mow, or every week or so, make sure you go out and take a look at your grass. And if you see that it's starting to tear your grass, that's when you should replace the blades with sharp ones. So this next tip, mow often and change the angle. It doesn't just apply to Lymow. It's a basic principle for mowing in general, especially with robot mowers, because robotic mowers tend to miss some grass. They tend to leave stragglers. If you change the direction, those stragglers are less likely to be there after the second cut. The other thing is mowing often. If you can cut off just a 1/2 inch every time you mow, your grass will be so much healthier than as if you cut off 2 inches. Plus, you've got very small clippings. They'll just disappear. You won't even see the mulched clippings. The other thing is, it keeps your weeds at bay. I highly recommend it. All right, let's take a moment and talk about special mapping situations. As you can see in this aerial view, I live on a 1.1 acre corner property with a pretty big yard. Now there are 3 large mowing zones, with the largest being the front lawn, highlighted in blue, which is around 24,000 square feet. The zigzag stripes are really impressive from the street, and I like to change the angle with each cut. Now there's a pretty big garden on the left side of the house that I could map as a no-go zone, but I don't really care if the stripes on that side are aligned with the front because they're not visible and it'd be very inefficient for the robot to spend so much time turning. So I mapped the side into 2 separate zones so that I could optimize the angles for the most efficient mowing. My other challenge is the narrow strips of grass between the sidewalk and the street. Not only does the robot need to follow the curb without falling off, it also needs to deal with a street sign and a mailbox post. As of this video, Lymow has a hard time recognizing vertical obstructions, so it bumps into them. Then it goes around them to the right and actually travels a little outside the mapped perimeter. Now that's not an issue by the sidewalk, but in the other direction it has fallen off the curb in the past. But this time, however, it managed to hang on, so I was happy to see the progress. Now I've provided this footage to Lymow and I fully expect that they'll continue to improve it in future releases. Another consideration is the zone setting called line follow mode, which can be set to inner edge or riding edge. Riding edge tells Lymow to precisely follow the perimeter you mapped. Inner edge pulls the robot back from your mapped perimeter by a few inches. Now I think it's a crutch for people who aren't very good at mapping, but it means you'll have a lot of trimming to do around your entire zone. I always select riding edge, and I even map it to overlap the edge of my gardens in some cases because it reduces the amount of trimming that I'll have to do afterwards. Alright, at its core, the robot is a computer. When you use a computer and you have a problem, one of the first things you do is reboot it, and this robot is no different. So when you want to reboot Lymow, you're going to use the power button on top. What you do, and I'm going to put the microphone next to it so you can hear, you're going to push and hold that until you hear the fans go off, and it's about 2 seconds. And then, to power it back on, you can wait 15 seconds, whatever you feel, and then you're going to push and hold that button for just 2 seconds. And then you hear the fan start up, and it goes through its boot sequence. I don't know what that high-pitched sound is. I don't know if anybody else has that issue. I only have it. It starts up with a high pitch, and it eventually goes away in a couple of minutes. So I'm not really sure what it is, but doesn't really have any effect on it, as far as I can tell.
Hello, let's get mowing.
So that's how you reboot your Lymow. Okay, this one is one of the most important. The community has more experience than the designers. And what do I mean by that? The community, meaning the owners that have hands-on experience with these things in the real world, the designers don't have that level of experience. Yeah, they may test it out in certain lawns and certain situations just to make sure functionality is there, but they do not have the different climates, the different grass types, other situations, tree roots, wells, you name it. Anything that could be an obstruction in your lawn or a certain situation, you've got that they don't have. And the owners, hopefully, if you're an owner, you join one of the communities, and there are several. There's one on Facebook, there's one on Reddit. You'll find me in both of those. If you have an issue, you will probably get a faster response from the community because someone else probably saw that issue, and they'll tell you how they resolved it. So by reaching out to the community, you will get a much faster answer than waiting for Lymow support. And that's not a knock on Lymow support. It's just that I'm basically saying use the community first. And last but not least, remember that Lymow is a 1.0 product. This is brand spanking new and a new company on top of it. Have patience with them. Lymow has gotten so much better in the 6 weeks or so that I've been using it. 6 weeks from now, it'll be even better. 6 months from now, it'll be even better. That's the beauty of over-the-air updates. The hardware is solid. They will just continue to upgrade the software and provide more and more functionality. So have patience and, really enjoy the ride. And also just be proud that you are an early adopter of this. You are a trailblazer because this is one of the most unique mowers out there. If you're lucky enough to be a Lymow owner and you have any other tips and tricks that you'd like to add to my list, please leave me a comment down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Hey there, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to be the first to know when new videos are posted. Look for HandyDadTV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and visit the website HandyDad.tv for more great ideas and information.